Hello there. Today I'm taking a more in-depth look at the movie The Blair Witch Project. I will put a link somewhere in this general area if you would like to watch my review, because I'm not going to review this movie now. I've already done that. But I'm going to talk more about the story and how the movie was made, that stuff I didn't want to give away in the review. So this is a spoiler alert. You get details about the ending. But so basically the movie was made like they gave these three people a loose script and GPS locations they had to get to and set them out in the woods for like 6 or 7 days or something. And there are producers and stuff following them around, but they're not like, there's not like a camera crew or a lighting crew. I mean, everything is really filmed on either a handheld camera or the other camera they were carrying around. And then you know, they weren't letting him sleep very much, and they weren't giving him much to eat. So when they look cranky and pissed off, they're really cranky and pissed off. And it's kind of a really interesting idea on how to make this movie, because it makes all their reactions seem more realistic. A lot of times they don't know what's coming up ahead of them. You know, they know where they're going, but when they get there and stuff happens, they don't know that's going to happen. So they do have more of a look of surprise. Obviously, it's still acting, but I think it worked out a lot better, and it made the movie seem a little more genuine. Maybe this movie was a little bit ahead of its time. I did look, because I had never heard of a found footage movie before this, and there are found footage movies before this one, but this seemed to be like the really first one to take off. And then there was like kind of like that none for a long time, and now you have like tons of them, like Zombie Diaries, Paranormal Activity, Rec or Record. I don't know how it's just REC. I'm not sure exactly how it's said, but you know, tons of those. I could just keep going and going because they're everywhere now. You got the new Chernobyl Diaries coming out, and it's like now they're everywhere. And I'm not sure what took so long. And I actually looked to see how much money Paranormal Activity 3, which was the highest grossing Paranormal Activity, and it still didn't make as much as the Blair Witch Project. And the Blair Witch Project cost nothing to make, so it's very successful in that matter. Now, so basically in the story, they go out into the woods, and they're going to a couple locations where supposedly the Blair Witch did something, or you know, I didn't understand that, because they're like saying this guy killed 7 kids, but in the movie they never say that had anything to do with the witch. They're just like, oh, he killed 7 kids, so it was a Blair Witch, which they didn't connect anything to the Blair Witch. And then if you look at some of the other information, they're like, well, he said the witch told me to do it, and so then it makes a little more sense. But I don't know how that got cut out of the movie. Like, how did they not realize, oh wait, we never even say this is how it's connected? And then they go to Coffin Rock, and Coffin Rock to me didn't look like anything. I really don't understand it. It looked like a mound of dirt. I don't know if that's what Coffin Rock was or what. And then again, they don't say that and it's in any way related to the Blair Witch. They're just like, oh, 5 guys were killed here. Well, anybody could have killed those 5 guys. And then the 7 kids that the guy killed, and they do have the thing about the hand coming out of the water, but I don't know. That sounds kind of stupid. And it's so dumb too, because in they went so far to make people think this was real. I remember, you know, people didn't know if this was real, and for a long time they thought it was real. And like, I remember they even like had these people listed as being dead, and all this crazy stuff. How far they went to make people think this really happened when in fact it didn't. So then they're basically done. I mean, they had like what, a 10-minute documentary, if that, by this time, and they're trying to get out of the woods, and like for some reason they go a different way back, and they get lost, and the one guy gets pissed off eventually, and he throws the map into the water, and they're lost, and like they decide to head south or something the whole time, and they end up in a circle, and so they're kind of like, well, maybe it's a supernatural thing that won't let them leave. You know, they're not really lost, they just can't leave. And when they go to the cemetery, the one guy kicks over a rock, which is supposed to be symbolic of the 7 kids, but like some of this stuff doesn't make sense, because like, did he piss off the kid by doing that, because then like his stuff gets covered in slime? But why would the kids care what he does? Does it piss off the Blair Witch? I mean, she's probably pissed off either way. So then, but then like, it's not just he disappears, like something happens to all of them. So it really, at first it's kind of important because he's the first one to disappear, but then it becomes not even anything because they all disappear. So that didn't really make sense. And then so he disappears, and then They're still trying to find their way out. And I mean, they're just spending all these days in the forest, and they have no food or anything left. And then they end up finding this house, and they hear their friend in there. And if you, in one of the interviews earlier, they said that the guy would take the kids down 2 at a time, made one face the corner, and then he'd kill the other one, and then kill the one facing the corner. Well, the guy runs down there, and he gets knocked out, and then the girl runs down there, and she gets knocked out, and you see him facing the corner, and that's the end. And a lot of people were disappointed with this ending. I was definitely disappointed with this ending, but they can't really have like a final closure for this movie to work, because supposedly somebody found this footage later, and nobody knows what happened to them if they're like, oh, they died, and you know, you can't really say exactly what happened to them. So I understand why they went this way, but it was still disappointing. But it also doesn't make sense to me, because if it was the guy who did this to them, to the kids, and the witch made him do it, then who did it to them? The guy's ghost? Why, if the witch made him do it, why would he be haunting that house and kill them? And if it was the witch, why wouldn't she have just killed the kids? You know, why would she make this other guy do it? So to me, that ending just doesn't make sense in any way, really. But you know, it's kind of just what you have to deal with. But you know, I think overall this movie was ahead of its time, and you know, a really good effort. And I think they made it pretty good. I think that it just wasn't as good as everybody thought it was. So you know, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of the movie.